Hello and welcome back to HateWatchers. Today we're doing a breakdown and review of the first episode of Wheel of Time as we embark on a journey to go back in time and review this particularly crappy show. And naturally, we begin with the series premiere episode entitled Leave Taking. Without further ado, let's get into the breakdown. Spoilers ahead, you've been warned. We open up with a voiceover by the main character Moraine, talking about how men fucked up the world, and this group of magic women had to clean up after them because they're totally not toxic like men are. She mentions how some penis-wielding man called the Dragon ruined the world, and he's now been reborn, so they must seek him out. We then cut to a fantastical landscape where two brilliant men are trying to outrun horses on foot. They're smart enough to stay on the literal beaten path, rather than cut into the rocky, forested areas 10 feet off the road, where they could outmaneuver the riders on horseback, knowing that if they did so, they risk stepping in mud or tearing their loincloths on a branch. Sorceress Karen complains to the manager of the mountainside ahead of them, and the mountain relents, dropping some rocks in the men's path to stop them. Jason Momoa begs Karen not to hurt his friend, who has actually disappeared. Karen delivers the one line that probably got this script picked up by Amazon to produce.
This power, it's meant for women, and women alone.
She then calls him a toxic male and executes him because women in power are totally rational. Moraine and her non-toxic male servant determine that the man was not the Dragon Reborn, and the intro is rolled. We then move to Middle-earth, where diverse women are braiding each other's hair and inducting a woman into their cult. They try and kill their new initiate when she says maybe men and women can just be equal. But she survives and realizes she just needs to keep her opinions to herself because rational thought is not allowed in this world. Moving to a mountainside path, a father and son are guiding a horse-drawn cart down the mountain when they hear wolves. Down below, we jump to a village where the evil men are delivering booze to this tavern. The tavern owner's daughter walks in and everyone goes apeshit in celebration, with no explanation. Ginger Hayden Christensen, also known as Rand, short for Rando Creeper, leans against the wall trying to look cool for her, but she don't need no man apparently. Some emo fuck walks in and everyone gets tense. Of course, it's the bitch boy from before who's only here to introduce the strong female lead, Moraine. This guy, Perrin, heads to the forge where his wife is working it alone, and he interrupts her strong productive work to grope her, because he's an evil penis wielder. This mother is out in the street where her evil male husband is flirting with some woman out in the open. Her son helps her and cares for her as he pulls her into the barn, where she says he's going to be just like his dad. How nice. Rand is left with Egwene to do the dishes, as we finally recognize that this girl is the one from the cult initiation earlier. As she begins pouring out her emotions, Rand starts making out with her because it's nicer than telling her to shut up. He tries to shove a berry down her mouth to buy a few more seconds of sweet silence. Upstairs, Bitch Boy shows Moraine a face full of dong as he joins her in the bathtub. That reminds Moraine that she's on the lookout for a big dragon, and she suspects it's someone here. After breaking the sweet silence with some loud lovemaking, Rand and Egg discuss her ceremony from before. Rand realizes sleeping would be more interesting than this conversation and heads to bed. Outside, it started raining to let us know evil shit is about to go down, and we see a hooded figure. Inexplicably cutting to daytime, we see a deranged man driving an early version of an ice cream truck. Rand escaped far from Egwene's nagging, but unfortunately she's tracked him down. Moraine shows up at this sacred pool to mock this chick because her name is Wisdom, and she calls her stupid or something. The boys are telling Rando Ginger that if he plowed last night, he has to tell them. It's bro code. Wisdom meets with Egwene to show her what real power is.
Do you hear that? It sounds wrong.
The boys give this guy some money to buy deodorant in a not-so-subtle hint. After wasting a whole bunch of time and resources sending lanterns down the river, everyone starts partying to some modern pop song, but String Bean here suddenly gets pierced with a war axe. A bunch of incel minotaurs blast into the village and start slaughtering people. Everyone runs for cover. I'm not really sure why though. Every single person being attacked or killed is a man, and getting rid of them was half the town's goal anyway, right? The Nazgul Dementor waits just outside town as it erupts into chaos. Wisdom works really hard to save this old guy's leg, just for him to die 3 seconds later. One of the Minotaurs bursts into Rand's house, and his dad pulls out a hidden secret special magic sword that he uses to carve up the intruder before Rand ultimately saves him. Wisdom and Egg come under attack before Moraine saves them. She proceeds to do slow motion magic for several hours and wipes out all of the incels with ease. A group of women take one down themselves, showing just how strong and independent they can be when they outnumber someone 8-1. Moraine goes Super Saiyan Thor on the remaining raiders. Wisdom gets pimp dragged out of there by her weave. Perrin is using his toxic masculinity on one of the attackers and accidentally axes his wife right in the uterus. She dies as he freaks out, trying to come up with some cover story where this isn't his fault. Moraine gets knifed as backup arrives, but she's too strong to be wounded, so they pull the knife out with zero ill effects left behind. She goes back to her slow motion magic as she undertakes a suicide mission in fighting off this horde of incels. All her strength and power culminates in her just throwing rocks at them. She collapses as a fog of toxicity and masculinity washes over her. Rand shows up with his wounded dad to find that their healer Wisdom was taken. Perrin brings his wife out to everyone, spouting some story about how some flying bricks killed her. Having been ganked and sapped of all her strength 22 minutes ago, Moraine is moving stronger and faster than anyone. She warns that these creatures are here for these 4 main characters, as one of them must be the dragon. Gee, I wonder who it could be. More incels come screaming down the mountain, and Moraine persuades these 4 to leave with her. The 6 mount up and chuck the deuces to the town now in ruin, saying good luck y'all before bouncing and the episode comes to an end. Well, we've reached that point in the video where we would normally decide if this episode was a great watch or a hate watch. But obviously you all already know that this is a hate watch, and it's the kind of hate watch that is worth going back in time to review. Now, with these retrospective reviews of shows past, we're not going to be going too in-depth on the review side of things, as every criticism under the sun has already been levied against the show or movie. But we will raise some larger issues we see with the show or movie from time to time. For this one, we obviously need to address the elephant-sized balls in the room and talk about how unbelievably eager this show was to piss all over men. Oh, it's in the books. All the powerful wizards are women in the books. Don't care. If you really think that the portrayal of women in this show is just an attempt to stay true to the books, then you probably still write letters to Santa. I truly would have loved to see a glimpse into the writer's room as they were just pissing their pantsuits coming up with some of these lines, bringing down the patriarchy one cliche line at a time. Oh, and ladies, don't forget, when the incel minotaurs attack, that none of the victims should be women. We've been victims for too long. Have all the men running away scared, and write down that the women stay composed and help the people. We obviously expect this kind of crap to some degree in every modern show, but this is probably the most aggressive in-your-face messaging that we've seen so far. And the show waited like 4 seconds to start this shit. At something like 54 minutes of runtime, half of it was just women being strong or women discussing being strong. The rest of the time is spent showing the male characters just kinda wandering around and wondering what the fuck they're supposed to do in this world. The women are the ones fighting, protecting, forging weapons, braiding hair, healing others. The men just deliver their supplies and stand around until one of the strong women decides to castrate them for one reason or another. Also, it's good to see that this extremely remote mountainside village is populated by a group of people where no shade of skin color is repeated. That makes perfect sense on every level. Anyway, we haven't read the books, but we know a thing or two about them. And from the looks of things, it doesn't look like we'll need to know much of anything from them to understand why this show is bad. It looks like this season will be a fun hate watch, and we hope you'll join us for the rest of the reviews for Season 1. Thank you to everyone who made it to this point in the video. Let us know in the comments. Did you watch Wheel of Time when it came out? And if so, were you a fan of the book series? What was your take on this show? Or this episode? We'd love it if you would take the time to leave a like on the video, as it helps our reviews reach more struggling fans out there. And if you haven't already, click the subscribe button below to stay up to date on our retrospective reviews of Wheel of Time, as well as our other ongoing retrospective review of She-Hulk. Plus reviews for a number of new shows we'll be covering in the new year. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one.